The stars looked different from here. Alan West stood on the observation deck of the USS Pathfinder and watched as unfamiliar constellations drifted past the reinforced glass. After 3 months in deep space, the novelty still hadn't worn off. "Captain, you should get some rest," said Susan Miller as she approached from behind. As his second-in-command, she knew his habits well. "We're still 12 hours from the Tau Ceti system." Alan nodded but didn't move. "I never thought we'd make it this far, Susan. When I was a kid, the experts said faster-than-light travel was impossible." "Well, they were wrong," Susan said with a small smile. "Here we are, breaking the laws of physics." The year was 2087, and humanity had finally achieved what generations had dreamed about. The Pathfinder wasn't large or impressive by Earth standards, just a modest exploration vessel with a crew of 23 brave souls. But it carried humanity's hopes along with its revolutionary drive system. "Status report?" Alan asked as they walked together toward the bridge. "All systems normal. Dr. Boyd reports the crew is healthy if a little stir-crazy. Diane says the drive is performing better than expected. We're actually ahead of schedule." The bridge was quiet when they arrived. Night shift was always calmer, with just 3 crew members monitoring the ship's systems. The main view screen showed their trajectory toward Tau Ceti, a sun-like star just 12 light-years from Earth. "Captain on deck," announced Jack Rivera, the ship's cultural specialist who was filling in at communications. "As you were," Alan said, settling into his command chair. "Anything interesting?" "Nothing unusual," replied Frank Cooper from the science station. "Though I'm picking up some odd energy readings from the Tau Ceti system. Could be natural phenomena we're not familiar with." Alan leaned forward. "Can you be more specific?" Frank shook his head. "It's unlike anything in our database. If I had to guess, I'd say artificial, but that would mean—" He didn't finish the sentence. Everyone knew what it would mean. Despite decades of searching, humanity had never found convincing evidence of intelligent alien life. The Pathfinder mission was partly designed to continue that search. "Keep monitoring," Alan ordered, "and wake Dr. Garcia. He might have some insights." Over the next several hours, the energy readings grew stronger. By the time they entered the outer edges of the Tau Ceti system, there was no doubt. They were artificial. "It's some kind of network," explained Paul Garcia, the ship's lead physicist. "Communication signals, power transfers, navigational beacons. We're looking at the infrastructure of an advanced civilization." The bridge was now fully staffed, with every available crew member finding reasons to be present. The excitement was palpable. "Are they aware of us?" Alan asked. "I would assume so," answered Diane Moore from her engineering console. "Our drive creates a distinct subspace signature. If they have any kind of monitoring system, they've seen us coming for days." Alan took a deep breath. "Susan, set condition yellow. I want everyone alert but not alarmed. Jack, prepare first contact protocols." "Which version?" Jack asked. "The optimistic one or the please don't kill us one?" "Let's start with optimistic and see how it goes," Alan replied with a slight smile. As they approached the 4th planet of the system, the truth became impossible to deny. The planet was surrounded by structures, space stations, satellites, and vessels of varying sizes. It was a busy, thriving system. "My God," whispered Laura Simmons, the security chief. "There must be hundreds of ships out there." "Thousands," Frank corrected, his voice filled with awe. "And they're not all the same design. I'm counting at least 11 distinct architectural styles." Alan stood up, straightening his uniform. "Jack, broadcast our first contact message on all frequencies." "Message away, Captain," Jack confirmed after a moment. "Now we wait." They didn't wait long. Within minutes, the communication system lit up with an incoming transmission. "They're responding," Jack exclaimed. Well, it's not in any Earth language. The computer is trying to analyze it." "Put it on screen," Alan ordered. The view screen flickered, then showed what was clearly an alien. The being had blue-gray skin, large eyes, and a delicate bone structure. It spoke in a melodious language none of them understood. "Computer's working on a translation matrix," Jack said. "It needs more samples." The alien continued speaking, occasionally gesturing with long, six-fingered hands. After several minutes, the computer began providing a rough translation. Welcome, unexpected visitors, Tau Ceti Outpost, Galactic Concord. Identify yourselves. Jack, send our identification package, Alan said, then addressed the screen. This is Captain Alan West of the Earth vessel Pathfinder. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship. The alien paused, then responded with what seemed like surprise. More aliens appeared in the background, examining data and talking rapidly among themselves. Earth. Classified pre-contact. Independent FTL development. Impossible. High. Council notified. Remain in position. Escort approaching. Alan looked at his crew, seeing his own mixture of excitement and concern reflected in their faces. It seems we've caused quite a stir. Captain, Frank called out. 3 vessels approaching rapidly, much larger than ours. Weapons? Laura asked sharply. Unknown, but they're not in an attack formation. I think they're an honor guard. Susan moved to stand beside Alan. So what now, Captain? Alan watched as the alien ships drew closer, their designs unlike anything humanity had imagined. Elegant, organic shapes that seemed to flow rather than be constructed. Now, Susan, we make history. For better or worse, nothing will ever be the same again. Not for us, not for Earth. As the alien vessels surrounded the Pathfinder, lights pulsing. In complex patterns, Alan felt the weight of the moment. Humanity had finally found its place among the stars. But he suspected it wasn't going to be the simple exploration mission they had planned. The lead alien spoke again, the translation becoming clearer. Captain West of Earth, the Galactic Concord, welcomes you. Please prepare for boarding. The High Council wishes to meet the species that has done the impossible. Alan nodded solemnly to the screen. We're ready. But in truth, neither he nor any human could possibly be ready for what awaited them. The quarantine facility orbiting Tau Ceti A was nothing like what the crew of the Pathfinder had expected. Instead of sterile cells or medical labs, they found themselves in comfortable living quarters with large windows looking out into space. Despite the comforts, they were still prisoners in all but name. Alan West sat across from Susan Miller in what the aliens called a cultural exchange room. In reality, it was an interview room where different conquered species came to study the humans. 2 weeks, Susan said, checking her Earth Standard watch. 2 weeks since we arrived, and they're still treating us like lab specimens. Alan nodded. They're being careful. From what I gather, this is the first time in thousands of years they've met a new spacefaring species. The door slid open, revealing their most frequent visitor, a tall, thin alien with pale blue skin named Zell. As a diplomatic liaison, Zell spoke the best English, having rapidly absorbed the language from the Pathfinder's databases. Captain West, Commander Miller, Zell greeted them with a small bow. I bring news. The High Council has reached a decision about your status. Alan straightened in his chair. And? You and your crew are no longer considered quarantined guests. You are now officially diplomatic visitors. You will be allowed to move about certain areas of the station freely. Susan let out a breath. That's the first good news we've had in days. There is more, Zell continued. Your engineer, Diane Moore, has been invited to meet with our science division. They are most interested in your faster-than-light drive. Alan exchanged glances with Susan. This was what they had been waiting for, a chance to learn more about their hosts and establish real communication. We would be happy to share our technology, Alan said carefully, in exchange for knowledge about the Conquered. Exel made a gesture they had learned meant agreement. Of course, the exchange of knowledge is a basic principle of the Conquered. However, the alien hesitated. Some members of the council are concerned about your species. Concerned? Why? Susan asked. Your development path is unusual. Most species join the Conquered after being discovered and guided. None have independently developed faster-than-light travel without assistance. The fact that you did, and with a method unknown to us, has caused discomfort. Later that day, Alan gathered his senior staff in their new common area. Diane Moore was practically buzzing with excitement after her meeting with the alien scientists. "Captain, their technology is amazing," she said, "but they can't figure out how our drive works. Their FTL method uses something they call fold space, basically creating artificial wormholes. Our compression drive works on completely different principles." "Is our technology inferior?" Laura Simmons asked. "In some ways, yes. Their ships are faster and more efficient, but our drive can do something theirs can't. It can navigate through areas they consider impassable, regions with high gravitational distortion or certain types of radiation." Paul Garcia, who had been allowed to join Diane in the science division, added, "That's not the only thing they find interesting about us. The Concord scientists are fascinated by human biology." "What's so special about us?" Jack Rivera asked. "We're just regular carbon-based life forms." "Apparently not," replied Natalie Boyd, the ship's medical officer. "Most sentient species in the Concord evolved as specialists, adapted perfectly for specific environments or tasks. But humans evolved as generalists. We're not the strongest, fastest, or smartest, but we're incredibly adaptable. They're especially interested in our brains," Paul continued. "The balance between logical reasoning and intuitive leaps. Most species excel at one or the other, not both." Jack had been quieter than usual. As the cultural specialist, he had been spending time with a variety of alien species, learning about the Concord. "There's something else you should all know. The Concord isn't as unified as they want us to believe. There are factions, political divisions." "What kind of divisions?" Alan asked. "I've made friends with a Novan historian named Kazoth. The Novans are one of the oldest species in the Concord. Kazoth told me that some species view humans as a threat, others as an opportunity, and some as potential allies against their rivals." "Great," Laura muttered. "Interstellar politics." "It gets more complicated," Natalie said hesitantly. "I've been reviewing the medical data they've shared with me about various Concord species. There are anomalies in the genetic records, evidence of deliberate manipulation in some species." The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. "You're saying someone has been tampering with their evolution?" Alan asked finally. "Not recent evolution," Natalie clarified. "These changes appear to have been made thousands of years ago, but they contradict the official history of how these species developed." Alan stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the massive space station that surrounded them. In the distance, ships of various designs moved between the station and the planet below. "So we've stumbled into a 12,000-year-old civilization with hidden secrets and political divisions," he said slowly. "And our arrival has disrupted their status quo." "Captain," Susan said, "we need to contact Earth. They need to know what we've found before they send more ships." Alan nodded. "Zell promised we could send a message soon, but we need to be careful about what we say. Until we understand the situation better, we can't risk being caught in the middle of their conflicts." Just then, the door opened and a new alien entered, one they had never seen before. This species was reptilian with iridescent scales and vertical pupils. "Captain West," the alien said in a surprisingly deep voice. "I am Ambassador Trizak of the Security Council. I have been sent to inform you that your planet has been in our records for centuries, classified as a pre-contact civilization." "You've known about us all along?" Susan asked incredulously. "Of course, the Concord monitors all worlds with developing sentient life. The protocol is non-interference until a species reaches a certain technological threshold." Trizak's eyes narrowed. "Or until they do something unexpected, like appear in Concord space with an impossible drive." "What happens now?" Alan asked. "Now, Captain, your species stands at a crossroads. The message you send to Earth will determine whether humans become partners in the Concord, or a problem to be solved." Alan felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. One ship, one crew, one message. The future of humanity would be shaped by what they did next. 6 months after the Pathfinder's arrival, a larger human delegation reached the Concord capital world called Harmonium. The massive ship called Unity carried 50 people from Earth, including diplomats, scientists, and military advisors. Ambassador Christopher Kelly led the mission, chosen for his calm approach and strong negotiation skills. The journey from Earth to Harmonium took just 3 weeks, thanks to the improved drive system developed from shared Concord science. As the Unity approached the capital world, even the most prepared delegates fell silent at the view. Harmonium was unlike any world humans had seen. Massive structures floated in the sky. Cities spread across the surface in perfect geometric patterns. Ships of all sizes moved in careful traffic lanes around the planet. "It's like something from a dream," Ambassador Kelly said as he stood on the bridge beside Captain Alan West, who had been recalled from the Pathfinder to help guide the new mission. "Wait until you meet the locals," Alan replied. "The Concord includes 17 main species and dozens of associate members. Each one is different from the next. The Unity landed at a special port built just for the human delegation. As they disembarked, they were greeted by representatives from major Concord species. Zell was there, along with Ambassador Trazak, and 5 others Alan had never seen before. "Welcome to Harmonium," said a tall, willowy alien with golden skin who introduced herself as High Counselor Ela. "Your arrival marks a historic day for the Concord." The first week of diplomatic meetings was overwhelming. Each day brought new revelations about the scale and complexity of galactic society. The humans learned that the Concord was far from the unified government it first appeared to be. "You need to understand the factions," explained Kazoth, the Novan historian who had become a trusted advisor to the humans. "The Concord seems peaceful on the surface, but underneath it's a constant power struggle." Kelly nodded as they walked through the Grand Gardens, a massive park in the diplomatic quarter. "I've noticed 3 main groups, am I right?" "Very observant," Kazoth said. "The Preservers are the oldest faction. They believe the Concord should remain as it has been for millennia, stable, cautious, and somewhat isolated. They see humans as a threat to this order." "And the second group?" "The Progressives believe the Concord has become stagnant. They welcome your arrival as a catalyst for necessary change. They're your natural allies." "And the third?" Kazoth's expression darkened. "The Expanders. They recognize the value of your unique faster-than-light technology. They want to use it to reach new regions of space and the resources they contain." Back at the human compound, Security Chief Laura Simmons was worried. She had noticed unusual patterns in the security systems around their quarters. "Someone is watching us more closely than they should be," she told Paul Garcia as they swept the room for listening devices. "Could it be standard protocol?" Paul asked. "No. I've studied their security measures. This is something else." Laura had spent weeks learning Concord security systems. "Someone has added extra surveillance specifically targeting our delegation." She brought her concerns to Trazak, her Concord security counterpart. The reptilian alien studied the evidence she presented. "This is troubling," Trazak admitted. "These surveillance patterns are not authorized by the Security Council." "Then, who?" "I have suspicions. Some preserver factions believe your species should be contained, not welcomed. They may be gathering information to use against you." Working together, Laura and Trazak traced the unauthorized surveillance to a group of preserver extremists. Their plan was worse than expected. They intended to sabotage the diplomatic mission by staging an incident that would make humans appear dangerous. Meanwhile, in the science division of the Concord capital, Diane Moore worked with a team of alien engineers on a new project. They were attempting to combine human compression drive technology with Concord energy systems. "The two approaches shouldn't work together," said Nari, a blue-skinned engineer from a species called the Lumen. "Yet somehow they do." Diane nodded as she adjusted a holographic model floating between them. "It's like 2 completely different musical instruments playing the same song in different ways." Paul Garcia joined them later, bringing data from his own research team. "I think we've figured it out," he said excitedly. "Our drive creates temporary bubbles in space-time, while Concord technology folds space itself. But when combined, we can reach regions that neither technology could access alone," Diane finished. The breakthrough came 3 days later. The combined human Concorde test ship successfully navigated through a region of space the Concorde had always considered impassable, a dense field of gravitational anomalies that had blocked exploration of nearly a quarter of the galaxy. The news spread quickly through Harmonium. Within hours, Ambassador Kelly was summoned to an emergency session of the High Council. "Your drive technology has changed everything," High Counselor Ela announced to the assembled representatives. "Combined with our systems, it opens pathways to regions we have never been able to reach." The Preserver representatives looked unhappy. The Progressives seemed pleased. But it was the Expanders who were most excited, their representatives already discussing exploration plans. Alan stood beside Ambassador Kelly as the implications became clear. Earth, so recently discovered, now held the key to vast unexplored territories. The balance of power in the Concord was shifting before their eyes. "What does this mean for Earth?" Kelly asked quietly. "It means," Alan replied, "that we've just become the most important newcomers in Concord history. Every faction will want what we have." As the council debated, Laura Simmons entered the chamber and whispered urgently to Alan. The Preserver plot had escalated. They were planning to attack the test ship during its next demonstration, making it look like a human error. "We need to act now," Laura said. "Trazak is moving his security teams into position, but we need to warn the council." Alan looked around. The grand chamber filled with representatives of civilizations thousands of years old. In just 6 months, humanity had gone from unknown outsiders to the center of attention. "Ambassador," he said to Kelly, "I think it's time to show the Concord that humans aren't just good at technology. We're also good at surviving threats." Kelly nodded and stepped forward to address the council. The future of human-Concord relations would depend on what happened next. 2 years had passed since the Pathfinder first appeared in Concord space. In that time, relations between humans and the various alien species had grown in ways no one could have predicted. Joint ventures in technology, medicine, and exploration benefited everyone. Many Concord species had established embassies on Earth, while humans now served on several important Concord committees. Admiral Alan West, recently promoted, stood on the observation deck of the Harmony, the most advanced joint human Concord vessel ever built. The ship combined the best of both worlds, human intuitive design with Concord precision engineering. "Admiral, the expedition." "Team is ready," said his aide, Lieutenant Kevin Bishop. Alan nodded and followed the young officer to the shuttle bay. There, a mixed group of human and alien scientists waited to depart for the surface of a planet in a previously unexplored region of space. The planet showed signs of ancient structures, possibly the first evidence of the mysterious precursors that many Concord legends mentioned. "Dr. Reed, are you ready to make history?" Alan asked the expedition leader, Olivia Reed, a brilliant xenoarchaeologist from Earth. "More than ready, Admiral," she replied with an excited smile. "Our team has been preparing for months." Beside her stood Valzan, a respected Concord scientist who had become one of humanity's strongest advocates in the galactic community. The tall, gray-skinned alien bowed slightly. "This discovery may change our understanding of galactic history. The expedition team boarded their shuttle. Alan felt a sense of pride. In just 2 years, humans had gone from unknown newcomers to valued partners in cosmic exploration. The combined drive technology they had developed had opened vast new regions of space to exploration, benefiting all species. But not everyone was happy with the changes. On Earth, some nations had secretly begun developing military applications of Concord technology, despite international treaties forbidding such research. Within the Concord, ancient rivalries between species had resurfaced, with humanity caught in the middle. Alan returned to the bridge as the shuttle departed for the planet's surface. "Keep a close watch on them," he ordered the sensor officer. "I want immediate updates on any findings." Hours later, the first reports came in and they exceeded all expectations. The team had discovered not just ruins but an intact structure, a vault of some kind, sealed for what appeared to be millions of years. "They've found a way to open it," reported the communications officer. "Dr. Reed says the technology inside is far beyond current understanding. Alan watched the incoming data with amazement. The artifacts showed energy signatures unlike anything seen before. The implications were enormous, then everything went wrong. "Admiral," shouted the tactical officer. "Multiple ships approaching at high speed. They're not responding to hails." Before Alan could react, the sensor officer called out, "Energy weapons firing. They're targeting the expedition's location." Alan snapped into action. "Shields up. Move to protect the shuttle." And "Get me conquered" command immediately. But it was too late for some of the expedition. The attack came too quickly and with devastating precision. Half the team was lost, including Valzan. The precursor artifacts were stolen, and the attackers vanished as quickly as they had appeared. In the aftermath, accusations flew between Earth and the conquered. The attackers had left no identification, and each side suspected the other of betrayal. The preservers demanded all human conquered programs be suspended. Earth's military forces went on high alert. Within days, diplomatic channels began breaking, down as centuries-old rivalries between conquered species resurfaced. At an emergency meeting in Harmonium, Alan faced the fractured High Council. "This attack benefits no one," he insisted. "Neither humans nor the conquered would destroy something so valuable to both our peoples." "Then who?" demanded a preserver representative. "Who else knew of this expedition?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Trezak, now promoted to security chief of the entire Concord, stepped forward. "Our investigation has uncovered evidence pointing to a group that most of us thought was merely a myth," the reptilian officer announced. "They call themselves the Ascendancy." Murmurs spread through the council chamber as Trezak continued. "They appear to be a secretive faction with members from various conquered species. They believe they are the rightful heirs to the precursors, and they view humans as obstacles to their destiny." Laura Simmons, who had been working with Trezak's security forces, added, "They've been operating in secret for centuries, possibly millennia. The human arrival and our joint discoveries threatened their plans." For weeks, tensions remained high as more details emerged about the Ascendancy. They had infiltrated all levels of conquered society and had agents on Earth as well. Their goal was to use precursor technology to elevate themselves above all other species. Alan, called back from retirement to lead a special task force, gathered a team of human and alien specialists. Among them was Olivia Reed, one of the few survivors of the expedition attack. "The Ascendancy doesn't realize what they've started," Olivia told Alan as they planned their mission. "The artifacts we found weren't just advanced technology. They were parts of a key to something much bigger." "A key to what?" Alan asked. "We're not sure yet, but according to fragments of data we managed to save, it's located somewhere in the galactic core, a region even our combined drive technology can't safely reach." Alan studied the star charts showing the dense, radiation-filled center of the galaxy. "They said the same thing about the regions we've already opened up." Laura Simmons joined them, bringing new intelligence reports. "We've located what we believe is the Ascendancy's main base. It's hidden in an artificial structure at the edge of the core region. If we're going to stop them from weaponizing the precursor technology, we need to move soon." Alan looked at the assembled team, humans working side by side with aliens who had been strangers just 2 years ago. Together, they represented the best hope for peace in a galaxy on the brink of war. "We need to modify the Harmony's drive systems," he said finally. "If the Ascendancy can reach the core, so can we." As they prepared for the most dangerous mission in human history, Alan couldn't help but think about how far they had come. One ship, the Pathfinder, had changed the course of galactic history. Now, the Harmony might determine whether that change led to a new era of cooperation, or a conflict that could tear the galaxy apart. The Harmony moved through space like nothing before it. The ship's enhanced drive systems, pushed beyond their normal limits, allowed it to navigate the dangerous path toward the galactic core. Admiral Alan West stood on the bridge, watching as stars became more densely packed around them. "Status report," he called out. "Drive systems at 90%, Diane Moore replied from the engineering station. The chief engineer had worked day and night to modify their technology for this mission. "We're maintaining stability, but I don't know for how much longer." Radiation levels increasing, added Paul Garcia. The shields are holding for now. Alan nodded. The strike force was smaller than he had wanted. Just 50 crew members, half human, and half from various Concord species. All volunteers. All aware of the risks. How much farther? He asked Olivia Reed, who was studying the data from the recovered precursor fragments. We're close, she said. The energy signatures are getting stronger. Whatever the Ascendancy found, it's just ahead. Suddenly, the sensors lit up with alerts. Admiral, called out the tactical officer, I'm detecting a massive structure directly in our path. The main view screen adjusted to show what lay ahead, and everyone fell silent in awe. It was a partial sphere surrounding a binary star system, an enormous construction that dwarfed anything in known space. A Dyson sphere, whispered Paul. At least partly complete. The precursors were building it around these stars. And the Ascendancy has taken control of it, Laura Simmons added grimly. I'm detecting their ships docked at various points around the structure. Alan studied the tactical display. Can we approach undetected? Yes, Laura said. Their attention seems focused inward, on the sphere itself. If we use the radiation clouds as cover, we might reach this maintenance dock here. Alan gave the order, and the Harmony moved carefully toward the ancient structure. As they drew closer, more details became visible. The sphere was a marvel of engineering, a lattice of unknown materials designed to capture the energy of two stars. It's not just a power station, Olivia said as she analyzed the readings. There are habitation zones, research facilities, and what appear to be transportation networks throughout the structure. It's like a world turned inside out. The Harmony docked successfully at an unused maintenance port. Alan assembled the strike team, 12 members, including himself, Laura, Olivia, and Lieutenant Bishop. Each wore specially designed suits to protect against both radiation and potential Ascendancy weapons. Our mission is clear, Alan told the team. Locate the stolen precursor artifacts, secure them, and gather as much intelligence as possible about Ascendancy plans. We avoid conflict unless absolutely necessary. They moved through massive corridors that seemed to have been designed for beings much larger than humans. Everything was built on an almost impossible scale. The team split into pairs with each group heading toward different areas of interest. Alan and Olivia made their way to what appeared to be a central control hub. There, they found what they were looking for, and much more. The artifacts, Olivia whispered, pointing to the stolen items now integrated into a larger system. They've already connected them to the sphere's controls. Before they could get closer, a voice spoke from behind them. Impressive, isn't it? That humans found their way here so quickly. They turned to see three figures, each from a different Concord species. Their leader stepped forward, a being with silvery skin and eyes that seemed to glow with inner light. Varen, first voice of the Ascendancy. You are too late to stop what we have begun. And what exactly have you begun? Alan asked, trying to buy time as he activated his emergency signal to alert the other teams. Ascension, of course. The precursors did not vanish. They evolved beyond physical form. This sphere was their final creation, designed to help worthy species follow them. For centuries, we have prepared for this moment. While Varen spoke, Olivia carefully studied the control systems. She noticed something the Ascendancy had missed, a pattern in the precursor designs that matched notes from their earlier expedition. Across the sphere, the other teams encountered similar situations. Laura and her partner discovered a vast database containing precursor knowledge. Lieutenant Bishop and his Concord counterpart found themselves in a power distribution center where they observed critical vulnerabilities in the Ascendancy's control systems. The confrontation escalated when Ascendancy security forces discovered the Harmony's presence. Fighting broke out in several sections of the sphere. Your interference is pointless, Varen told Alan as alarms sounded around them. Only certain species are meant to ascend. Humans are too young, too undeveloped. That's not your decision to make, Alan replied. The precursor knowledge belongs to all sentient beings, not just those who think they're special. As they argued, Olivia sent coded messages to the other teams. She had realized that the Ascendancy had misinterpreted the precursor technology. It wasn't designed for just a few chosen species. It was meant to benefit all life in the galaxy. In the power distribution center, Lieutenant Bishop saw his opportunity. The Ascendancy had rushed their integration of the stolen artifacts, creating weaknesses in their systems. With a nod to his partner, he began the risky process of disrupting their control. "Admiral West," he called over the comm system. "We can destabilize their hold on the sphere, but I'll need to stay here to maintain the override. It's a one-way trip, sir." Alan closed his eyes briefly. "Understood, Lieutenant. Make it count." Across the sphere, Laura and her team secured the precursor database. "We've got access," she reported. "Starting data transfer now." Varen realized what was happening too late. "Stop them," he ordered his followers. "They're corrupting the ascension process." But it was already done. Lieutenant Bishop's sacrifice gave Alan and Olivia the chance they needed to secure the control hub. The precursor artifacts, now properly integrated according to Olivia's understanding, revealed their true purpose. "It's not about ascending above others," Olivia explained as the sphere's systems came under their control. "The precursors designed all this to bring species together, not separate them. They seeded the galaxy with diverse life forms intended to eventually reunite and combine their unique strengths." In the days that followed, the truth spread throughout the Conquered. The Ascendancy's leaders were captured, their followers dispersed. The precursor sphere became a joint research station, open to all species. Alan stood on the observation deck of the Harmony, preparing for the journey home. Beside him was Kazoth, the Novan historian who had helped them understand the Conquered from the beginning. "You were right," Kazoth said. "One human ship arrived, and the galaxy changed forever." Alan smiled quietly. "Not just because of us. The change was waiting to happen. We just gave it a little push." As the Harmony departed the sphere, messages arrived from Earth and Harmonium. A new era of exploration had begun, with joint human-Concord expeditions already planning voyages beyond the Milky Way, guided by precursor star maps. Among the crew of the first intergalactic vessel would be children of the original Pathfinder crew, carrying forward a legacy that began with one simple mission and led to the transformation of an entire galaxy.